Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
All right, welcome to another episode of Art's Place. Now I'm getting all confused with all the channels that I have. All right, and welcome to my illustrious guest, or my host, Lloyd Mendenhall, all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Welcome to the show, as always.
Well, how you doing, Art?
I am doing great. How is the weather out there? Did it stop raining? Is the water receding?
No. The water's receding, but it didn't stop raining. No. Matter of fact, it rained today. So,
wow.
The people that come over and help out with the house were supposed to take the dog out and wash him. I ran over and got a water hose, and it started raining while I was at Lowe's.
Yeah.
You know, it's just getting. But hey, they are selling the heck out of those art kits. They're just having a problem keeping the cypress wood.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. Now, I saw the video of those two barges hitting that dam. I'm like going, holy cow.
Oh, yeah. I've got a little something here just to, you guys remember we were talking about the batfish, and I've done videos of it, and I've been kind of keeping an update on my channel.
Right.
And you guys saw where it was floating a couple weeks ago. Well,
right.
This is where it's at as of yesterday, okay? And it's still in the water. And but yeah, they talked about I was talking with somebody about the moorings, about did they break loose. Well, this is what happened to the moorings. They got worse, that's why it just the water washed it. They were cemented in the ground, but when the ground disappears.
Yeah, that's right. That the water just washed right around there, and
yeah. That's just one of them. But anyways, okay, this is this boat out here. You can see it right next to that great big boat. There's another. Whoops. All right. Where'd we go? Okay. Sorry. I had as an extra background was the wrong video that popped up, and that's what started playing in the background.
Right.
Sorry about that. You got to love technology. If you don't pay attention to it, it will get away from you.
That's right.
So
that's right. All right, let's jump into our first topic. We just had another mass shooting in Virginia Beach, Virginia, where a former worker came in, and I guess the old term is went postal on some former co-workers and killed, I think, about 13 people were killed?
I think that's what I saw at the last count. Yeah.
And now the Democrat governor of Virginia is calling for more gun control, which wouldn't have helped in the situation because the guy bought those guns legally.
Well, and I don't know what I don't know what they're expecting. If they'd enforced the current gun laws they had, maybe, this wouldn't happen. Making more laws isn't going to make people quit killing.
Right.
They don't seem to understand that, though.
They don't care. They want gun registration, and they want gun confiscation. They want the guns out of the hands of the law-abiding people, thinking the criminals won't have guns, and disarming the public, because
Right,
hey, what a
right.
better way to control your uh, public than if they're not armed, they can't fight against the government.
Well, here's an observation that, and you know Oz by Drone Greg,
Right.
and which I've been a co-host on his show a few times, and uh, one of the things that I've noticed is, Australia had that. They had
Yeah.
a killing down in Tasmania, and
I thought it
they
was New
had a
Zealand.
knee-jerk reaction, huh?
I thought it was New Zealand.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm going back. I'm giving you a little history of
Oh,
what. Yeah,
okay. I'm
they had a
sorry.
killing in New Zealand, which is what's leading me to this story.
Okay.
Okay, and this explains what we're dealing with here. Okay,
Okay.
so they had this killing years ago down in Tasmania. And of course, they said, we've got to outlaw all the guns. We're going to confiscate them, either that or you got to have them registered and you got to belong to a gun club and they've got to be stored at the gun club
Right.
and blah, 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 blah. Fast forward, 2019, a guy from Australia has a gun, goes to New Zealand, either gets it in New Zealand, which has even stricter laws, or he took it with him from Australia, and he kills those people in the mosque.
Right.
What good did gun control do for them?
Right.
Not only that, how many times are we hearing Greg tell stories about people going out in Australia shooting down drones?
Drones, yep.
Where are all these guns coming from if they confiscated them all? It doesn't work, folks.
That's right.
You know.
I have a friend in Adelaide, Australia, and he belongs to a gun club, and he
Right.
has several rifles that he takes out to the shooting range where they have competitions, and his gun safe has to be off his property. It can't
Yeah.
be in his house or in his garage.
Yeah.
It has to be off site. I don't know if there's a different distance
Yeah.
relation that they have there. That it's got to be far enough away where when someone burglarizes your house, you go, "Excuse me, I gotta go over to my gun safe so I can
Right.
come
Yeah. Yeah.
back and blow
Exactly. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys away."
Oh, they tried to do that in a couple states here where you had to keep your ammo in one room, your gun in the other, and the magazine in a third room, you know?
Boy.
And like, oh, wait a minute, I need to run down the hall and grab my ammo, and then I got to load up my magazine, which is in the kitchen, and then go to the bedroom to get my pistol. Excuse me? I don't think so.
Yeah. Hey, to show you how stupid our congresswoman from Denver, Diana DeGette, she had this mistaken idea that, oh, once the magazine's empty, they will throw them away. Problem solved. Really. She has no clue
You,
how the people can reload them. She doesn't know anything about guns. All she knows is guns are bad, guns are bad, we can't have guns. And they don't think it's the people. Guns, you could take
yeah,
a gun,
yeah.
put it down on a table, and leave it for years, come back, it didn't kill anybody. It didn't
You want to know
suddenly
something?
jump off the table and shoot somebody.
We have been sitting there this whole time, and I haven't shot anybody yet, have I?
Yep, that's right.
And I had gone to the store, and when I came back, I started getting ready for the show. So I didn't take my pistol off and go put it in by my bed, which is where it's usually at when I'm in there.
Right.
So I just still happen to have it on. It's still there. It hasn't jumped out and tried to shoot me or my wife or anybody. It's just, It's there. It's minding its own business. And I forget it's even there most of the time. I have this bad habit. I have to check myself when I'm doing something, one, to make sure I've still got it, because I forget it's there. And sometimes I'll forget, I'll get dressed, and I always keep my holster on my belt. And I get dressed, and I conceal it. I wear a long shirt, so it's concealed.
Right.
But we're an open carry state,
Right.
but which means I can carry it out in the open like John Wayne on my hip if I want to.
Right.
That just makes me a better target.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my opinion on it,
Yeah. Why?
But
Why
these
alert
people that
to the bad guys? Hey, there's a guy with a
Yeah.
gun. I'm not going to
Yeah.
perpetrate my crime over there. I'll go over here. Hey, look at this sign. It says gun-free zone. Pow, 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 pow.
Exactly. Yeah. It's and if I happen to be unfortunate of being one of those gun, actually, I try not to go any place that I'm not allowed to use my weapon, carry
Right.
my gun, just simply because I'm not comfortable with it anymore. When I got out of the service, I never wanted to carry a sidearm again. It's just something I didn't want to do.
Right.
And it was we had a shooting here at the mall, and then they started bringing in, they brought in the handgun carry law, or the concealed carry as it's called.
Right.
I still didn't jump on that bandwagon, and finally we were traveling from my brother's house up near Oklahoma City, Edmond, and coming here to Muskogee, and coming
Right.
back home after seeing my sister up there. And we had a breakdown, and had a tire and problems, and we were broke down for a little bit until the auto club could get out there and get us
Right.
going again. Well, I was uncomfortable because it was getting on dark,
Right.
and I just didn't like being there, and I started applying for my concealed carry the next day, and went and took the course and got all my paperwork done, did what I had to do, and
Right.
I've been carrying ever since. I have a cousin that did the same thing, except for the longest time, him and his daughter, who both went through the course together, she likes to carry her gun, and she likes to carry it open, but she's one of those knotheads that doesn't like putting bullets in it.
Oh boy.
I said, "Are you kidding me?" And so I've chided them for them, and I finally said, and here's the other thing, and we met because they had to we kind of had a small ceremony to put Judy's uncle is her cousin actually, but to put the headstone on his grave. So they asked me as a veteran to show up because he was a veteran too, and it was a veteran's
Right.
headstone. So, we went, and she had the gun. So I sat there and I unloaded my gun while we were at the cemetery, and I stood there and I showed him something. I showed him that it was empty. I took everything out and I left it, and I then put it back in my holster. And then I said, okay, pretend you're a bad guy and you're coming at me. Okay, you've already got the gun drawn. Just point your finger, okay? And they go, yeah. I said, I'm going to draw my gun in self-defense. When I do, I have to jack the hammer back. I'm already dead. It's that simple. I'm dead. You've done shot me. Because
Right. I'm
spending time putting that round in that chamber. If you're going to carry, do it right, or don't carry at all.
Right.
And I proved my point, and after that, they started carrying with one in the chamber.
Well, that's good.
know,
That's good.
I said, don't, because if you're going to do it, because here is your best safety. When you pull that thing out, you do not touch that trigger. You leave it on the side of the gun.
Right.
Because as long as that don't touch a trigger, nothing happens. Yeah. People need to understand that. Anyways, I've digressed. I apologize, Art.
That's okay. Well, and on that topic, our former president, Barack Hussein Obama, was down in Brazil shortly after that shooting, tells a crowd of people there that, oh, anybody could get a gun. And I'm like going, no, you idiot. You gotta pass a background check. A felon can't
Yeah,
get a gun legally, and
right,
anybody that's mentally unstable or impaired cannot legally get a gun. No,
right.
not anybody can get a gun. There are a lot of restrictions on getting a gun here in the United States. And plus, we have a lot of hoops that you have to go through to even be a concealed carry holder,
Oh yeah,
let
yeah.
alone buying a gun.
Right, right. Yeah, I had to go through a lot to get my concealed carry. I had to go through. Uh, well, first off, let's start with the federal background check. Okay,
Right.
so here's the thing. I do the background. I go and buy a gun. Let's start with the pistol. That was the first one I bought.
Right.
The first gun I'd bought in years. I went and bought that. They had to uh, have me fill out paperwork,
Right.
and I got to admit, I laughed at a couple of the questions. Was like, uh, "Are you a convicted felon?" That was on the form.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I asked, I said, how many answer this truthfully? She says, you'd be surprised how many people put yes, and we just look at it and say, we can't do this. But the fact that they ask, at least they're asking, and apparently some of the convicted felons are being honest. But so I have to fill out this form, which takes, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Then they have to fax it into a number, and they have to call into that number. Then they have to go through all of the information. They have to read it back to them. They have to have this conversation. That's another 30, 35, 40
Yeah.
minutes
Yep.
of going through that. Then they have to wait for the approval. They do the background check, which fortunately they got pretty quick background checks, but it still takes, to buy a pistol, it takes a minimum of an hour and a half, or to buy a rifle, to buy any weapon here in the United States. It takes, even at Walmart or at one of the big sporting goods stores, and I bought this pistol at a small gun shop here in town,
Right.
and gun shop sporting goods store, and I still had to go through that. Then I had to go fill out all the stuff. I had to send in my $100 to get my concealed carry. Then I had to go take a class. That was another $60. Then I had to go to the sheriff's department with my completed signature on the court. There's completed course signature,
Right.
and send that to them. Then I had to be fingerprinted. Then the sheriff had to send in to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, and that took 5-6 weeks to get that done.
Wow.
Yeah, you just don't, to do a concealed carry, you can't just go buy it. You can't just go get a gun.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so the president doesn't know. He doesn't know diddly or squat.
Yeah. I think most likely he's lying. He knows he's a pretty smart
Yeah.
guy, but he's just lying through his teeth.
Sometimes I think that these
Spill
these
it. Spill it.
democratic socialists. Yeah, there was a word I was looking for. That's the word. These democratic socialists, because they're no longer Democrats.
That's right.
Not what they used to be. They're democratic socialists, sort of like the old National Socialists. They believe their own bull. They
Yeah.
truly don't know
Yeah,
the
they do.
difference. And some of them, he probably thinks that's the truth. He may actually think that. It doesn't matter how, there's a lot of educated dummies out there.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So it's hard telling, but I think you're probably right. He was just lying through his teeth. Most
Yeah.
of them do anymore. It's
Yeah.
that socialist agenda.
I said this many times before when I was younger, I used to think, well, Democrats, they just have a different view of how, to fix the social ills and stuff like that. Now I'm like going, you know what? I think they're a bunch of lying crooks, and especially those that run for office. And I view them as they're all crooks. Most of them are lawyers, and you know that lawyers have a very bad reputation. They're like down at the bottom with used car salesmen. But I have a lot of friends they're lawyers and they're conservatives, so I'm like going, So 90% of the lawyers are crooks, and those that are Republicans are pretty good guys.
Yeah. It's as I've said before. Well, we got a guy here in town. He's been a businessman. He's in his 80s now, and he's still working hard. And well, you've heard me talk about him, Charlie's Chicken. I'm always in my vlogs. I'm always going to Charlie's, right? And I've interviewed him once a little bit. And that gentleman, he's been a lifelong Muskogee Democrat. Been one all his life, but he cannot stand what has happened to that party, and he has switched to become a Republican.
Awesome.
He said he cannot stand Nancy Pelosi. He can't stand what she's doing. What he understood as the Democratic Party when he was a young man and started into business. There again, he was a businessman, and that's where a lot of the Democrats are going. That's where a lot of them went. The businessmen, they were part of the Masons and the Freemasons and stuff like that. There's all sorts of, or the different organizations. And hello to Thomas O'Sullivan. He's here today.
Thomas O'Sullivan, welcome to the show. All right, great.
But he switched parties.
Yeah, because he was with the old Democrats, and those people.
Yeah.
I think they were pretty honorable people. It's these new Democrats. I think where I started to lose my not my faith, but my views about the Democrat Party go back to Bill Clinton, and I think that's where the change started happening, where the old Blue Dog Democrats started to fade in the background, and then we started getting these socialists into power, and that's where my views on Democrats started to change.
Yeah, I think Clinton was the beginning of the new era of Democrats. And I'll be honest with you, Bill Clinton, I could tolerate. Hillary, I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Clinton, he was a good old boy from Arkansas, and he just married outside of his class. It's just what it comes down to. And but as far as I don't agree with his politics. I never have.
Right.
But there were some things that I could accept, and other things I couldn't accept. But he at least was willing to work with the other side, especially after the '94 Republican change. So, he was willing to work with him.
Yep.
But Hillary is so full of hatred. She's just a bitter person.
Right.
And she would have been the worst.
I
would have rather have had Bill back.
As worse, or even more worse than Barack Obama. I think Hillary is a congenital liar, because this goes all the way back to Watergate. She was part of the Watergate.
Right, Whitewater. Yeah. Well, yeah, right.
She was fired for lying to Congress.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, that was a Democratic control situation. They controlled everything, and Nixon had, Nixon was fixing Watergate. She was involved with two water programs,
Right.
Whitewater and Whitewatergate and Watergate, and I get the two confused sometimes when I'm talking about Hillary. But yeah, how bad you got to be fired from the investigating committee on Watergate that's trying to get rid of a Republican president, and
Yep.
she was even too much of a liar for them.
Right. I believe back then the Democrat Party wasn't as radical as it is now. I mean, we still had a lot of fiscally conservative Democrats, but a lot of them were more socially liberal than they were fiscally liberal, not physically, fiscally.
Thomas says he says, having a clue about politics here in Ireland, never mind in the U.S., but I will listen away anyway here in the background. Thanks, Thomas. Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you,
this
Thomas,
is the
Tomas.
Yeah, this is the our Arch Conservative channel, and this is where he and I get to sit here and really say it the way we think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what you said, they were much more well. They had morals. I mean,
yes.
Well, let's put it this way: they had Sunday morals, anyways. You know, they at least went to church on Sundays. They had a belief in
God.
A higher power, in God. They had, even if they didn't believe in God, they still had some core moral values, which I think come from God myself. But they had some moral, and their biggest thing was that they were, it's like you said, they were socially liberal. In other words, they wanted to help everybody. They wanted to. They were truly believers in sitting around the campfire and singing "Kumbaya." They really thought if everybody got a big hug, they would all feel better. And that was the beginning of the downfall. Of the situation. Of them. It was the moral decline of our country that has caused this kind of crap that we got going on now.
Right. And back then,
that will always be my belief.
When a Democrat loses a race, they don't apoplectic about it and genuflect and start crying and screaming. They just say, "Oh well, we'll try again at the next election cycle. Maybe we'll win there." Now, Democrats say if they don't win, they want to overturn the election or automatically have an investigation on that person. It doesn't matter whether it's the President of the United States. It could happen if it's a state rep or a sheriff or anybody political. They want to overturn that because they don't want to wait around till the next election. And to give you a point, a few years ago we had a slate of conservatives that won the school board here in Jefferson County, Colorado. Well, the teachers union, they just went nuts. Every time they had a school board meeting where it was public, they would show up and they would scream and shout and disrupt the meetings, and they were downright nasty. Anybody that was a conservative that was there, they would verbally abuse that person, or if someone took a picture of them, they're flipping the bird off to them. I'm like going, oh yeah, that's classy. So they didn't want to wait.
Yeah.
So what they did is they started a petition process, and they had a recall election. And guess what? All three members were kicked out of office on a bunch of lies saying, oh, these people were spending money like crazy, and they're paying so and so, the superintendent, this big exorbitant salary, and it's like, well, wait a minute, this guy is making the same salary with all the benefits that the previous superintendent was. So they lied about that, and this is what got me really ticked off at our Republican clerk and recorder is here in Colorado, you cannot have a petition that has false or misleading wording in your petition. It has to be, it has to be based on facts. Well, this idiot clerk and recorder, she could have dismissed the petition saying, hey, this petition has false or misleading wording in here. We can't put this on the ballot. She could have stopped it right there. She didn't do it because she didn't like the way some of the members on the school board were behaving, because one person, she made a controversial remark that really wasn't controversial, but anyway, it's a whole big to-do, and that's got me really mad at
yeah,
fake.
They're all about free speech as long as you agree with them, you know.
That's right.
And but let you have an opinion that's not theirs, and they're going to hammer you on it. You know, we just celebrated the 75th anniversary of D-Day.
That's right.
Okay. First off, I want to remember that. I want to say something about that, or remember that. But here's the thing.
I want to say hi to Rick Halbert.
To war. Yes, yeah, I'd been chatting with him for a few minutes, and
okay.
Yeah, hello, Rick, and thank you for what you're saying about my studio. I've been working on it. Naya is going to be making mine look basically like this with some extra features, and he hasn't got that finished yet, but I took some of his advice and kind of did what he said. So he's real good about helping me out, and that banner down there and animation is all his. All I had to do was add I've got several of these where I'm the co-host, and shows me as guest and co-host, But anyways,
D-Day, you were going to talk about D-Day.
D-Day, thank you, yeah. Okay, so we were fighting, what we were fighting was fascism, okay? What Hitler was a fascist. What Mussolini was a fascist, okay? This was true fascism. Okay, I got a grandson. Today is his, happy birthday, Brody, if you're listening. I doubt you are, but anyways. He turned 20 today. Most of these kids that were landing on Normandy were 20 years old, okay, in their 20s, 18 to, some of them were as young as 16. They lied about their age so they could go fight fascism. They didn't wear masks. They didn't hide behind a black mask and wave their little signs and saying, we hate fascism, like this bunch of whiny little pieces of POSs that call themselves Antifa, anti-fascist. They don't friggin' know what fascism is.
Yeah, that's right.
Until they learn about it, they need to shut the hell up. Excuse me, Art. That just chaps my cheeks to think of these guys calling themselves anti-fascists. No, the guys that landed on Normandy Beach on D-Day, those were friggin' anti-fascist. And they did the ultimate. That's what Antifas really are. They were the No, these guys that are up there now, they're nothing more than the, oh God, they were real big in the
21st century version of fascists.
Yeah, they are. They are. Anarchist. That's the term I'm looking for. They're part of the anarchist movement. They've had that around since, was it Truman that was shot at by was that when they were remodeling. I think it was Truman. He was shot at by anarchists, and
oh yes, that's
back after when
was that
in the hotel that he was staying in is across from the White House. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that was weren't those people? It was something about Cuba, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
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 But they classified themselves as anarchists. It's the same people that started World War I that killed the
Right.
Archduke Ferdinand.
Right.
Same group of people. Now they're called Antifas. They call themselves anti-fascists. No, they don't friggin' know what fascism is.
Yeah, anarchists.
Anyways, that's my 2 cents worth.
All right, but anarchists, they believe in no government. So they are further out on the right. They're like out on the fringes of
That's true.
the
That's
spectrum.
true.
Where
That's true.
communists are on the other end of the spectrum, where they want
Yeah.
total control. And I think that's where the Democratic Party has moved towards. They don't care about the process or the rule of law. They just want big government and as much control over the common man's life as possible. And that's why they want to see more apartments being built, because the way I look at it is apartments are like the old flats of the Soviet Union. And they want everybody moved into those to where eventually you have your own little unit, and then you're going to share the kitchen with everybody that's on that floor, and you'll share the same bathroom as well. I'm like going,
Right.
that's crazy living.
It's like the ghettos in Germany, where all the Jews had to live, or where all the Jews lived. Yeah. It's well, here's the funny thing. If you go far enough to the left and far enough to the right, it's a circle. You're going to meet. And I think that's where they're both at. That's why I think Antifa are anarchist, because I think they're so far to the left that they become far right. In the same, their principle is the same, the downfall of our government. Socialism is the downfall of our government, just like anarchism is. There's it's hard to tell the difference anymore. The far left and the far right are so far to the left and far to the right, they're meeting in the middle. But they're meeting behind us, behind our backs. That's why you can't trust them. Just an analogy, an observation.
Okay. And to move along to another topic, this is a little, it's not on my notes, but I had a mental note. I don't know if you noticed in the last week or so that former state senators in your neighboring state of Arkansas have been mysteriously murdered. And these were people that were involved in investigations in Arkansas over the Clintons' handling of, I think, child services there in Arkansas.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Have you noticed every time there's witnesses against. Yeah. But how many people. I mean, at what point do they have. At what point do they have to say, people start saying, this is no longer a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's just, it was a joke in the 90s under Bill Clinton when he was president,
Yeah.
Well, there ain't going to be no witnesses left this week,
Yeah. Well, and it all started with Vince Foster. Remember when he...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. He committed suicide, yet they found him in a rolled-up rug.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. It's, I don't know.
And I think that leads into why everybody is all up in arms around our new Attorney General, Bill Barr, who's really starting to turn up the heat on the Democrats, especially he's going to investigate the investigators who's all started this whole fake Russian collusion stuff and the fake dossier that started this whole investigation.
Well, he should, and that's why they're scared, because this guy is doing his job. Actually, I'm sorry, but it should have been done by Jeff Sessions. I was disappointed in that man. I had a lot of respect. But
yeah, I was disappointed with him too. He said, "Oh, I have to recuse myself." I'm like, "What? Why do you have to recuse yourself? Just be honest and just say, hey, this whole thing's a sham from the start. You could have saved the taxpayers millions of dollars. And instead, you let this thing go." I think he was kind of on the fence whether he wanted to be a never Trumper or he just wanted to say, "Oh, I was Attorney General of the United States." I think he just wanted that job, but he didn't really want to help out.
Part of the reason he recused himself. Yeah, well, part of the reason he recused himself is he was part of the Trump campaign, so that kind of throws out the whole never Trump theory.
Okay.
See, he was part of the Trump campaign, or at least the transition,
right?
And part of the transition team. But I'm pretty sure, he came out and said he was a supporter of Donald Trump. That's why he recused himself. But he wasn't in the campaign long enough that he wasn't in there during that time period, anyways. Right. And he should have been honest, straight up with Donald Trump when he was nominated. Says, "Listen, because I was part of your campaign, I cannot, if something comes out about this Russian investigation, I can't be part of it." So, and that should have, that was where, and to be honest with you, I'm really beginning to think that Jeff Sessions was a plant to begin with, right from the time he joined the campaign.
Right.
I just really wonder,
Yeah, well, now that you explain it that way, that does make sense.
Yeah. But he should have never become Attorney General. But Donald Trump was trying to the people that stuck with him and supported him, he tried to be fair to them, give them opportunities, because say what you want, but that's politics,
Yeah. And he brought in some people that probably shouldn't have been in the cabinet, like Rex Tillerman, probably shouldn't have been there, but that was just a mistake. But the new person that they've got in there is doing a great job. So I think he's got a pretty solid cabinet right now. So on that subject, we can talk about tariffs. So what do you think about Mexico's reversal on the tariffs? I think that was a brilliant tactic that Donald Trump pulled, and he got them to turn around. Now they're starting to slow down or stop the flow of immigrants from their southern borders, so they won't be coming up here in a few months.
I just heard a little bit about it before, when I was out earlier today, before I started getting ready for the show, and they were talking about they're going to be sending troops to the border to keep down to the southern border to keep them from coming into Mexico, and anybody that has got that is seeking asylum, they're going to be kept on the Mexican side of the border. Is that my understanding? If I heard that story right.
I haven't heard about that, but you could be right about that.
Well, that was just on the news just about 2 hours ago. Fox News had it, and it's like, That's what Donald Trump wanted, and he got everything he wanted. And now, who was it? I can't remember who it was, whether it was one of the leading Democratic senator, or was it Joe Biden himself? Somebody talked about, this isn't a good deal for us. Really? You know, are you kidding? We got what we wanted. You know, here's the thing: Mexico can't survive without us.
That's right.
Just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't do it. We've got manufacturing down there. We've got we're buying goods from them. We're buying oil from them, but we don't have to buy it. We can go elsewhere. And their economy is based off of what they get from the United States in trade goods, and you know, it is what it is. You know, they tried to play nasty, and Donald Trump played nastier.
And that's the thing that I love about Donald Trump is he's actually fulfilling his campaign promises, which is unheard of in politics. You know, you might get a politician that'll get maybe 10 or 25% of their promises they'll actually follow through on. And Donald Trump, he's just been tremendous. The economy is doing well. And I remember when he said, we're going to put tariffs on Mexican goods, and our Republican senator from Colorado, Cory Gardner, says, oh, you'll wreck the economy. Well, we just proven you wrong again, Cory.
Yeah, exactly. And Mexico is a drain on our economy because they're letting all these people come into our country, you know, and it's a drain on our government's economy. And we can have the greatest economy in the world, and for every dollar, you know, for every dollar that is made, there's, I don't know, 25% of that is going to support our government. But if we're giving it away faster than we're bringing it in, you know, it's going to collapse eventually. It's got to. You know, it just can't keep up. I mean, they can't keep voting this. So we've got to stop the drain somewhere, and that's with the illegals to start with. Let's get rid of the dead weight. You know, I'm not saying that they're not doing a job, and I've always said this: we would not have an immigration problem if people, and I don't care who you are, if you're out of work and you're living off the system, if you go get that friggin' job that those Mexicans are getting, guess what? We wouldn't need the Mexicans. You know, we wouldn't need. There would be no reason for them to come to our country because there'd be nothing here for them. Cut off their welfare, cut off giving them jobs, put the people that Americans that are on welfare, put their butts to work. Let them do those jobs. Let them work at motels. Let them work at McDonald's. You know, let them do those jobs. And then when they get better, you know, maybe help them with a little education here and there so they can get better. And they don't because, to be honest with you, McDonald's is not a life choice. It's not a career, folks. Hate to break it to you.
It's that first rung on the ladder of economic success. It's supposed to be.
Exactly.
McDonald's was supposed to be the job, your first job getting out of high school, to earn a little extra money to get a car or to get ready to go to college. This is when college was pretty affordable. You didn't have to take out this huge loan to go to school. And you learn skills there, how to get to work on time and how to take directions from your boss and so forth. And it's supposed to be that first rung. And now it's getting to be to the point where now people working at McDonald's are making, the same amount as people that do semi-skilled technical work, which really chaps me because next year when the minimum wage goes up in Denver, I'll be making less than a hamburger flipper at the company that I work
Exactly.
for.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, it's just the idea that you're getting paid, let's say $15 an hour seems to be what they're going for now
Yeah.
for flipping hamburgers. I mean, I've always said that wage equity was wrong in this state. Not that the poor should get more, but the skilled labor should get more. Example, our police officers. You know, I showed here a while back it's a couple pictures of about it was in the news about the drone, and I showed a clip about that fire out at at Georgia Pacific paper plant.
Right.
All right. Those guys are getting paid starting, once they get on as rather than temporary, but they get on as a full-time employee.
Right.
They're getting paid $24 to $28 an hour to
Wow.
make butt wipe paper.
Right.
That's what they make. Something for me to wipe my tush with, and it's not even that good because I've got it. I won't even take their free stuff that my friends give me. It's like, no. It chaps my cheeks, literally.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's the kind of crap you find in truck driving bathroom stalls,
Right.
or
that one
or the
ply
military
paper
hospitals.
that you have to wrap around a dozen times
Right.
before you got it. No.
Yeah,
so
and
your
it's
fingers
stiff and
don't
crinkly.
poke
Anyways,
through.
it's that kind of garbage. Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of garbage. So, but they're getting paid, $24, $25 an hour to make this crap, and yet our police officers are getting, $17 an hour, and they're
Yeah.
putting their life on the line to protect us. No, that's not right. And
Yeah, it
that
should
just
be-
goes to show you.
It should be the other
Go
way
ahead, go
around. The people that are on the line to serve and protect should be paid more than the average Joe because their job is much more stressful and and they've got to know a lot about the law. Well, not a lot about the law, but procedures. And,
They do actually have to know a lot about the law. They have to take, and at least in Oklahoma, and I think in a lot of the other states, they have to take ongoing educational courses. They got to take so many hours a year
Right.
of ongoing education, or they lose their what they call their commission card, their certification. And in
Right.
Oklahoma, if you're not a certified or commissioned officer, or even what they call Oklahoma has what's called CLEAT, which is the criminal law or civilian law enforcement something
Right.
something. Anyways, it stands for something, but it's education and training. Okay, and to be a police officer or to be a security guard, you have to go through CLEAT. You have to go through these courses,
Right.
and you have to go through particular segments. Like if you want to be just a I was reading what Thomas O'Sullivan was saying. Yeah, exactly. But you have to go through this certification. You have to go through
Right.
this training, and then you have to continue the training. And police officers, same thing. Just because they go through academy doesn't mean they're through. My son, who is a police officer, now he started out in security. He had to go through all that. He has to go through a separate course to carry a baton, separate
Right.
course to do mace, separate course to do an armed security job, okay, on top of his basic course.
Right.
Then he had to go through police academy to become what they call a commissioned police officer. Then when he was made chief of police, he had to go through chief of police school.
Yeah.
And that goes for. We had a lady that was next county over that was elected sheriff. Okay, in her, one of the first women sheriffs in the area. Okay,
Right.
she had zero law enforcement background,
Wow.
but she was a good politician.
Yeah. Mhm.
And she was they were needing some controls taken over of their finances. She was a fiscal person because the sheriff's office deals with how much money, the sheriff deals with how much money is spent in the county and so forth when it comes to law enforcement. But in order to be a sheriff, she had to go through CLEAT certification, which means she had to learn the friggin' law.
Right.
And Texas has the same thing. California does too. It's some of these other states that where they have these cops shooting these, ladies that call 911, and killing them. That's because they don't have the right kind of training, And a lot of these places get the minimum they can because they can't afford to pay a police officer his proper wages because the mayor's getting more money, Friggin' mayor needs less money and the cops need more. Maybe if they had better wages, they'd get better they could pick and choose a little bit.
Right.
Anyways, I digress again. Sorry, Art.
That's okay. When I first started working for this company where I work now, when I became a full-time employee, I made well above the minimum wage, but it just seems like the more radical the city council here in Denver got, you saw a rapid progression of the minimum wage in the city, and it just boggles my mind here. It's like, the minimum wage shouldn't be a living wage. It should be a wage to get you started into the education, employment system. It's that first rung on the ladder, and then you'll learn a few more skills to get up to that next rung, and then you make a little more money, and you get a little more responsibilities, and then you get a little more educated and learn, and then you go up to the next rung, and so forth and so on. And it's because I work for a dental manufacturing company, and you got to know, I know almost as much as what a dentist knows. I know what a molar is. I know what a bicuspid is, the mesial distal part of the mouth, the mandibular, the maxillary, and so forth.
Yeah, you have to in order to, There's a lot of work because you build bridges and dentures and all that stuff, right?
No, we don't do the bridge. We just make the bands for braces.
Oh, you make the bands for braces. Okay. Yeah.
And we also
even
make the little part that goes on the band that moves the tooth around. And those could be pretty technical because not only does it turn the tooth this way, but it could turn it this way, and it could
right.
It could move it over to the side. I mean, it's amazing how technical orthodontics, dentistry is.
Speaking of orthodontists, you'll appreciate this because working in the braces industry. I had perfectly straight teeth up until I was about 14, and I had there was a tooth that should have come out that didn't, and the adult tooth came in behind it, and on my lower teeth right here, they were perfectly straight. People thought I actually had dentures at 14. What it did is it caused an overlap. Okay, it just caused that bit of an overlap. So that always bothered me after that because I had perfectly smooth straight, and so you always when you got problems like that, it just drives you nuts. You rub it like, oh man, I remember. Well, when they did my crowns, they just did the four front bottom teeth in crowns. when they made the mold, what she did is she made them, even though she did all the stuff to put the crown on and everything, but when she poured it, or when they did it and sent it off, they sent it off, and now I have, as she said, instant orthodontia, because they made my teeth straight, even though they never, the roots are still crooked like they were,
Right.
but they formed them so that the teeth are straight. I never had to wear braces, and I got straight teeth again
Nice.
at the age of 60 plus something. Yeah.
And the good thing
But yeah.
about you still have most of your teeth, which is good.
I do have a good portion of them. I have no back teeth on certain areas, but
Right.
you know, I got plastic ones for that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm losing a few more each year, but
Well, I've only lost one tooth because I had a cavity that was like right at the gum line, and
you're right.
they wanted a ton of money for that, and it just got bad, and it finally had to come out. Oh boy!
Yeah.
But
I just lost another tooth here just a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
But the good thing is I go back at the end of this month, and they're gonna put a temporary fake tooth in my false, or in my partial, so that it'll
Right.
fill that gap. And then in about 6 months, they're gonna go back in, and they're going to build me a bridge. But because these are crowns on either side, they have to pop the crowns off,
Yeah.
then reform the whole thing with the bridge and put it all back together. It's like, really? Can't you
Yep.
just stick something in there, you know? You got to do all that work? Yeah. So,
Well,
but
and now
anyways,
they've got implants. You can actually put a tooth in there.
yeah.
But there are
Well,
all sorts of
I-
issues with that as well. So,
Right.
which is
Well, the other problem I have is I go to the VA, and
yeah,
you know, because I'm 100%, I get my dental stuff covered.
right,
But you know, you get what you pay for. And what really ticked me off about losing this tooth, it was one of my gold ones. I have
Oh.
3 gold crowns, and I had 2 of them where when I smiled, I had like that Hollywood glint off the
Yeah.
camera. I just did it for the fun of it. I did get to keep the gold though.
oh, that's
They let
good.
me take. I got a nice little chunk of gold. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. Save that, and down the road you might make some nice jewelry for yourself or for your wife Judy.
I probably am going to have something made out of it with
There
for
you go.
Judy. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you were talking about the VA. I remember as a little kid, my grandfather telling my dad, they were both veterans. My grandfather was a World War I era veteran. He never got to go to Europe, but he would tell my dad, don't ever go to the VA because those people, they flunked medical school, or they had a bunch of malpractice suits, and that's why you don't want to go there, because the doctors are terrible. And my dad never went to the VA,
Well,
as long as I could remember. And I don't think
I-
my grandfather did as well.
I hate to say it, but he's not too far off. We had I know of one doctor. He had to shut down his private practice. He just gotten too many problems, and they he went to work. He was working part time for the VA, and then when his practice got shut down because the malpractice was going to bankrupt him, he went to work full time for the VA, and you know, God rest his soul, he has passed on, but he was a crap doctor. Okay,
Right.
it's just that.
Yep.
Hey, I got to ask you something. Have you seen this thing about the? I got a little tirade coming about it on my vlog this next week.
Okay.
But have you seen this thing, this parade they're having in Boston?
Oh, is that the Straight Pride Parade?
The Straight Pride Parade.
Yeah, I saw that Milo is going to be the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he's
going to be
going
the
to lead.
Grand Marshal. Yeah.
Yeah, the Grand Marshal. Yeah, I heard something about that.
You know, here's the thing I have about it.
Yeah.
Why do we got to have a Straight Pride Parade? Why
Hey.
a Gay Pride Parade? Why a Black Lives Matter Parade? Why a Cinco de Mayo Parade?
Right.
Why do we have to have any friggin' parade for all of these things? Why can't we have one on the 4th of July where we march and commemorate ourselves as Americans, not as a hashtag something or another, you know? We have got to have they've got to have, everybody, I was talking to the people at the house today, what would they think if I started a gay pride or straight pride parade here, but I dressed up with a cut-off T-shirt where my man boobs were hanging out, wearing a G-string with sequins? No, I don't want to see that on anybody, including myself. And I don't think we need to see that crap on gay pride or any other pride parade. You know, it's just, let's just quit this pride crap about everything and start having an American pride parade.
There you go. I'm all for that. Yeah,
Quit being separate and start being united.
Right. Years ago on Facebook, I would do a humorous thing saying, well, I gotta say this, but I'm straight. Well, except for my fingers.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and Thomas O'Sullivan says, or no, Drone Life RC says, true, no need for label parades. That's right. You know, everybody is, you know, I have a brother-in-law who is, well, anyways, he's gay, okay?
Oh.
But he's got some other problems
Yeah,
too.
the way you said that, he's gay.
I don't have a problem with him being gay. It's the fact that he's also a pedophile, a convicted pedophile.
Boy,
So
we don't.
yeah,
Yikes.
yeah, we don't want to go there.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy that really makes it bad for the gays, you know.
Yeah.
But and that's why I held off on it. But the thing is he kept talking about my people, you know. Well, my people do this, my people need this, and we've been. I go,
but you're
not a people.
Yeah.
You know, I said, well, he was adopted. You know, he's Judy's brother, and she always thanks God every day that he was adopted because he's a POS, you know, and he needs to be spending 20 to life in prison as far as I'm concerned. And with luck, he's headed there. I think he's headed that way pretty soon if he's not already there. We don't have any communications with him. But the point is he kept talking about my people like being gay was a race or a you know, no, because I'd ask him, I say, are you talking about the Native Americans? You know, the indigenous species of our continent? Is that who your people you're talking about? No, I'm talking about the gays. I said, you ain't a people. You're a collection. I can say my people, the Republicans, or my people, the straights. It doesn't, no. My people are my family, you know. My people are my friends. But that doesn't mean I get special privileges. I don't ask for special privileges because I'm, you know, a straight, white, fat, old fart, you know. We don't get special parades. We don't get special privileges. We don't get, you know, and that's the kind of ridiculousness that has happened in this country. And that's why I brought that up, because I heard that today, and I went on for a bit of tirade about this. You know, why do we got to have any pride? Let's have a friggin' American pride parade and be done with it.
And this is the thing that disturbs me about the radical gay community. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's a baker here in Denver who refused to make a gay wedding cake. Well,
Yeah.
his case went all the way to Supreme Court, where you know they found he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't violate any uh, civil codes or the Civil Rights Act. Well,
Civil
guess
liberties.
what?
Yeah.
The state, they dropped their suit against him. Now the guy that started the same suit brought it back again because he wanted him to make him a birthday cake for his transition. And he refused to do that. He said, I'll make you a birthday cake, but I won't make a birthday cake celebrating your transition from male to female. And so now he's being sued for that. But it's like, come on, people. We get
I got
it.
a question.
You got all the rights you need. You don't need anything special. And why are you hounding people like this? You're just making it tougher for you, for your group. You're going to, what's going to happen is down the road, people are going to going to start hating gay people. And they're going to start targeting. And it's like, you are hurting yourself by being spiteful and mean about this. And it just, it irritates me to no end. It's like, we get it. You guys have had it bad for centuries, and now you're being treated well. You're working on the same level as everyone else, and you're not being discriminated. Yet you want to still dredge up this crap, and you're still going after people because they're Christians. It's like, you know what? There is a guy down the street that will make you a cake. Go to that person. Let the marketplace dictate that whole situation, rather than dragging it through the court and trying to put this guy out of business and ruining his life just because he doesn't agree with your lifestyle. But he will make you a cake, but he just won't make a gay cake. People, there's my rant. Lloyd, are you still there? Oh, you froze up. What happened, Lloyd? Let's see. Hello, Drone Life RC. Welcome to the show. Something happened to Lloyd. I am gonna see. Alrighty. Hopefully, it looks like we got a. Okay, I'm over here on Facebook, and I just sent a message to Lloyd. Maybe something happened and he had to leave his studio, or maybe his internet went kablooey. But just what? Yep, he lost internet, so he will be right back soon. He probably didn't get to hear all of my tirade. Oh boy. Okay, so we will wait for Lloyd to jump back in, and so hopefully he'll be here soon. So be patient, folks. We will be right back. Okay, let's go over to here. Drone Life, no, I didn't eat the carp that I caught. I don't know how to cook them, but I hear if it's done right, they're pretty good eating. So I just catch them for the sport of it because for their size, and they're great fighters, and they're fun to catch. So we're up to 5 people. Woohoo! Yeah. Thank you all for coming in. So hopefully soon we will have Lloyd Mendenhall, the grumpy vlogger, will be back in, and he is here. Welcome back, Lloyd.
All right, I'm
I
back.
see your
Yeah.
head moving around. That tells me things are working. What happened? Your internet just kind of dropped off?
And I've had them. That's why I got up and left. Yeah, he was just starting in the middle of the tirade, and I missed it. I thought YouTube had disconnected us because you were talking about the birthday cake and having the transition. I thought, okay, YouTube didn't like that one, but
stop that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's probably me they shut off. Yeah, because so, I'm displaying an American flag over here, over in the corner there. So.
Yeah, my whole point was, you know what, you the gays have been working for how long? Several decades here in the United States just to, get respected and to, work just like anybody, have a life and so forth, and not be persecuted because of their lifestyle. I'm like going, okay, I get it. Stop trying to go after people that won't make you a gosh darn cake. All you have to do, I'm sure somebody down the street will make you a cake. Let the marketplace decide what should happen. And that guy that doesn't make you the cake, if he doesn't get the business, then he goes out of business. But stop with all these lawsuits and trying to put people out of business and ruining his life. This guy is just living his own life to his conviction. And it's not that he's anti-gay or anything. He would love to make you a cake. He's an artist. He's really good at what he does. If he was a crappy cake maker, he wouldn't be in business. So that is just my point.
And you're right, but we're not allowed to have personal convictions in this country anymore. When did that happen? Where did I miss the headlines on that? Say you're no longer allowed to have a simple thought. It reminds me of the movie of Vendetta.
Right.
They're all wanting us to, or no, was it Vendetta or was it? No, it was 1984, Orwell's.
Right.
Where we all sit in the office and think the same thing. When we will tell you what to think. We will tell you how to think. We will tell you when to think. That's what they want.
Big Brother is watching you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The problem is Big Brother is so far to the left that it's infuriating.
Yeah, I am so glad that I have this channel, and we'll work on getting this channel to grow, and I have several other channels, and so this is one of the few outlets that has a conservative view. Hopefully people will find it and come to this show and say, hey, I like that point of view, or if they don't like it, maybe we could talk about it, have a civil discussion without getting personal, without having personal attacks or name calling. That I'm willing to have. Uh,
Yeah.
but no, the people that are on the left, they don't want to have that discussion. It's like, you're a racist. End of story. You're a homophobe. End of story. It's like, no, let's talk about that, and maybe we could come to a consensus, or we could meet in the middle, and we could work things out. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, and that's it. They don't want to because it doesn't meet their agenda. Trying to get the chat. Okay, I'm just trying to type, and for some reason I'm having problems still. Thanks, Drone Life RC. I'm glad to be back. It's to the point that I get frustrated.
Yep.
I saw something. I heard something today. Okay, talk about YouTube. I said YouTube shutting us down. Okay, well apparently they're getting ready to start an investigation. Another investigation. The Democrats are starting a new one in Congress, and they're going forward with it because they want to make things right. They're investigating Facebook, Google, who owns YouTube, and they're trying to, because they feel they're doing an antitrust investigation because they're a monopoly. Okay,
Right.
Nobody can compete. They have, and one of the things, here was the thing. I listened to this and I thought, okay, and this was from a Democrat, and I'm sitting there going, well, some of this makes sense. Yeah, they do kind of pressure people not to succeed. That's why I was talking to my son yesterday, and he says, why don't somebody else start something like YouTube to compete? Because they can't. It's just financially not viable, right now, unless you're a gazillionaire. And a gazillionaire is smart enough, they just buy YouTube. Why break something that, why reinvent the wheel? Yeah,
Right.
It's working.
Don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it might need a format change or something like that. If I was a gazillionaire, I'd change a lot of things about YouTube, but the premise of what it is, I wouldn't change because it works, So, but they're going to have an investigation, and this was good. And here's what really got to me. They want to make sure that it's fair to other entrepreneurs. They want to make sure that it's fair to other businesses and other organizations. Then they finally say, and we want to make sure it's fair to the workers. Then they say the consumers. Well, anytime I hear the word workers, I think of how the union started.
Yep.
And what the unions have become. They started out with the workers, it's like, okay, I see where they're going. They're trying to turn YouTube into another socialist, and Facebook and Google into another socialist rally cry or something, or another socialist platform. It's for the workers. Yeah. That's what that's what started the Bolshevik Revolution.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And then
that's anytime you hear them use the word workers like that.
They want to control what is allowable on YouTube. Channels like this and Prager University and other channels, they'll say, well, they promote hate speech. We can't have that. They might offend people.
Yeah.
Like
Thomas O'Sullivan said he heard that Amazon was trying to, if Amazon starts a platform like this, I would jump on it because providing they allow the free speech that we're allowed somewhat to have here. I mean, we can only get away with so much, and they're going to start saying we're being hateful or something. It's not that. We're just stating an opinion that others might disagree with, you know. But yeah, when they start yelling workers, you know, he put workers above consumers, you know.
Right.
That was the key word right there. I was like, okay, socialist, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did a little.
It's the consumer that drives the economy to where the workers could get the employment. You know, without consumers, you don't have, you know,
the workers.
Businesses.
There's no job for the workers.
No workers and so forth. You know.
But
it's
But anyways, I heard that today, and I thought.
Yeah. It's all
like,
about.
As soon as I heard that word.
Yeah. Well, Lloyd, we've been going on for almost an hour and a half, and boy, time just flew, and we talked about pretty much all of everything I had written down. We didn't talk about RMGO and NAGR, which is National Association of Gun Rights, something like that. It's run by the same guy that runs RMGO, but we could save that for next week and my theories on what's going on there.
Yeah, send me a link on that come next Sunday, or send me a link on that, and remind me, and give me your agenda sheet a little bit.
Yeah,
and I'll actually try to stick on point. I know I'm bad, Art. I apologize. I'm just an opinionated old fart, and once I get a full head of steam, it's hard shutting me up.
Well, that's the one thing great about this channel is sometimes we could go off on a tangent, and I think that's what makes for a better show. But yeah, we'll do that. I'll send you a item sheet of topics we could discuss. Maybe Saturday.
There was something about that gun owners thing because we have a group here that I can segue with part of that is causing problems for gun owners as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And that is pertinent to. Well, we got every kind of flying critter you can think of with all this swamp water around now. Yeah. It is going to be a nasty summer.
All right, Lloyd.
God, I hate flooding.
It's been great having you as always. See you next week, and next week is Father's Day, I believe. So I don't know. Hopefully you'll be able to join. And if you do have something planned, we can always do a workaround on that. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I'll let you know for sure. Right now, I have no clue what my kids might have planned. So they don't tell me anything. Short little thing about that. Yesterday, I went over to see my son because of my daughter-in-law's birthday, and I was taking her a card and some money for her birthday. And we were sitting there, and my son, as I said, is a chief of police down at the college here. And he goes, I had a guy come up to me. He says, he called me. He says, does your dad do a vlog? He goes, yeah. Why? He says, does he do it on YouTube? Yeah, why? He says, well, there's this guy on there, and he was talking about the flood and some pictures, and he says, I swear that was your wife. He said it was his daughter-in-law, and he says, they kept dropping your name. He said, I was a little concerned because he was dropping yours and your wife's name. I was just making sure. He says, is he the grumpy vlogger? He says, yeah, that's my dad. He says, oh, man, I just love him to death. And he says, He says, well, I don't really follow him that much. He says, if I want to catch up on what he's doing, I can just go next door and listen to his crap all day. So I'm glad you're enjoying it, though. And this was actually the head of the IT department at the college. So I've got a fan down there at the college.
They're awesome. Awesome. That is super.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
that was funny.
Lloyd, you have a great rest of the day. I will watch you tomorrow on your show, The Grumpy Vlogger, and I will
don't
listen
forget,
in. And
tonight I'll be co-hosting with Mel again
that's right. I'll jump in
6 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific.
I'll do that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of shows that I gotta check on, and go over and check out Pusa Studio, and they're a lot of fun to watch. So let's get going. You have a tremendous evening, and I will see you on Mel's show. Good night, Lloyd.
Good night, Art. You take care. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy it. Always enjoy it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.